This is here. It's here. Don't be naive.
Hey, Danielle.
Hi, Michael.
So AI is kind of a thing right now, right?
Oh, funny. I never heard that word before.
No, it's
Nope.
kind of it's this thing that, is kind of sneaking up on us, but I feel like it's changed some of the things I do in my day-to-day life when for just a normal person. I mean, I'm not talking business AI here. We're just talking consumer AI. So what have you used? Maybe give an example or two of what you use AI for.
So we're going to check out how do we use consumer AI and how it's creeping up into the business world a little bit, right? And so we're going to play into this idea of like usability, what's going on with that smartphone. Are we going to tech it out that way? And then we'll talk about like, I don't know. I mean, are models going away in social media, people, because AI, has just covered the gamut on changing our faces and what we look like. But let's check out all those fun things and all those fun facts. Funny enough, I think I was listening to the stock market, and we'll kind of take it from a high level. I heard the word AI, I don't know, 25 times. I mean, in one session. So you wonder and think, how is this gonna, how are we going to use this in our daily lives? And is it going to change what we're going to do? So I don't know. Where do you want to begin? Should we start? What do you use and what do I use? So you answer the question first, and then I'll answer as well.
Yeah, so for me, I try to use AI for like trading and doing things like that in finance, to try and figure out what to buy. I use AI when I want to write letters. It's a great start. It's also great for writing maybe a blog and summarizing these podcasts, doing things like that. So things that have been kind of mundane and really stuff that I have to repeat over and over again. AI has been great in that it's this framework for kind of starting you out. I wouldn't say you want to like directly take what AI gives you and just publish it. I don't think it's good that way. I think it's very easy to see something that's AI written, but it's a great starting point. So those are the things that I really use AI for at this point.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Obviously, I'm not a trader, so that's not something I know how to do. Michael, you should show me that one day. I've asked him a million times. But I do use AI for, like you said, like when you're writing and communicating, it is good to like get a view or how to change words. Like I do like that it gives you some kind of flexibility with that. And it does answer questions at the end of the day. And like you said, those mundane tasks. I imagine I use a lot more AI, and I'm not so familiar with everything I probably use where AI is helping me. But to your point, we use AI for the podcast. We use tools that automate processes that take a long time. At the end of the day, it's all about automation. And I think, we want things faster, quicker, easier, or computers are going to take over the world. But AI is fun. AI is easy, but you do have to be careful about what you are putting in to AI, because it is a question of who owns that data once it's there, right? And so there are these questions of like how to be secure and smart with AI and responsible. But I use it the same way. I don't, I obviously we don't use chatbots, but there is such a benefit. I mean, you're talking to a chatbot, if you're on a website and a chatbot pops up, you're like, just give me an agent. Like you can tell the difference, but it also can, give you answers quickly.
Yep. So what are we checking out today?
We're going to check out. I mean, I think we're going to check out the consumer side of things and what's out there, and maybe just give some warnings too. I think a lot of people are real, and they're really not too in the world of AI. And so you got to kind of be careful, right? Like you do need to be careful. But let's check out like what's going on in the market, consumer, phone, and then kind of get into like where we're seeing Google and ChatGPT going. And I think also it lends itself to a mountain of new jobs and offerings and the way people need to think about their business at the end of the day, or even just how you go through your own daily workflow. I think that's how we're going to tech it out. Do you agree? Don't
Yeah,
disagree?
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
yeah,
I think our audience has to agree with what we're checking out, but
that is true.
I think that that's really spot on. I mean, I think that what we've done in the past is we've kind of done stuff without AI, and now we're starting to supplement things with AI. And just recently announced, and we could start here, is ChatGPT search feature, which is a good question, because really, what do we want when we search for something? Do we want like this whole 90 pages of information that we have to sort through? I mean, sometimes maybe it depends on what you're looking for, but do you really just
Good
want
point.
the key information of on something? So if you want like that whittled down, pre-filtered kind of information, which could be good in a lot of scenarios, then something like ChatGPT gives you that. It does the search. It has an agent. That agent goes out and searches for you on the web, and then it provides only the key information. Now, the caveat to this is that you have to be good at prompting. And prompting is a new thing, really. I mean, you think you're good at prompting, but really it's very specific to what AI wants you to prompt for. So this is a whole new, by the way, prompting is a whole new area. It's actually, you could be like a AI prompting expert.
Yeah,
So
and Michael, you're the tech side, and I'm like, well, how do I operationalize this, and how do I use it to my benefit? Like, that's always where my head goes. It's funny because I was searching last night, and with Christmas coming up, I was searching for like the best advent calendar for women, and I was like so sick
do
of like,
women need different advent calendars than men?
yeah, they're
Yeah,
like,
okay.
well, an
Something I
advent
don't know.
calendar. First of all, it's like by category now. There's like wine,
Okay.
there's candles, there's
Oh.
there's beauty products, um, I mean, there's Legos, there's a mountain, and I want a certain one for me. And I was getting like mountains of marketing, like, well, this one, and I just wanted, and I if I last night I feel like I would have used that search better because I'm like, I want an advent calendar that maybe cost this much, I pay this much, I get these products. What do you got for me? And maybe it would start, kind of instead of searching so much and so long, would give me the data that I'm looking for. I don't know. I have to test it out. I'll test it out and I'll
Yeah.
let people know because I
Yeah.
bought one last night, but maybe there's a better one based on my other search. Like, I do feel like we're stuck in Google world a little bit.
Now,
Based
I do want to note that ChatGPT wasn't first to market in this. I mean, Perplexity, that's what they
Yeah,
were.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, Perplexity was way before them, and it's very similar experience. So, Perplexity is, yeah, and I sign up to all these things just because I like to try all these things. And,
So what do you think? What if
you know,
have you
so
tested it?
yeah, no, I've definitely tested the Chat GPT. I've tested Perplexity, and I think they do have their place. Do I think they're going to supplant Google at this point? Probably not. To me, I think we've all become accustomed to a certain way that Google kind of provides that information. And sometimes you want all that information. You want to see everything. You want to pick out like and not filter through all that stuff. So I think it really comes back to like, what do you want in a search experience?
Right.
Is it something that's highly refined and just gives you the results? And I think that the answer is going to be that there are places for both of them.
And
I
it
don't
probably
think,
depends on
yeah,
what you're searching for. Like if you're
yeah,
searching for an
absolutely.
answer or you're searching for data about something specific and you want that information back, Google stinks because all you get is a Wikipedia of who knows what, and you're not reading the Wikipedia. Let me just tell you that. So I think for that information, I don't know if from a search function, but I definitely want to like play with it and check it out and compare it. I was in a meeting recently, and funny enough, we did compare two search engines, and one gave us the answer and the other one didn't. And that was kind of funny. Like we asked ChatGPT something and ChatGPT wouldn't give us the answer, but yet another search engine did. And it was about, a technology that was someone was using. So I do kind of feel like you have to compare sometimes. Like you gotta also know the strengths and weaknesses, and they're only as good as the data being put into them or who built the algorithm to start. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at the models, they're only to a certain date at this point.
yeah,
So, all the data that you need after that would have, you could do some, that's why this whole big thing with retrieval augmented design became a thing, because what it does is it allows you to use the model, but it also allows you to use that same structure to pull in newer data. So that way you can kind of combine the best of a model with newer data, because they're trying to figure out how to do that more real time, and they're kind of figuring all that stuff out. But yeah, I mean that's a good point, is that you're only as good as what the model has created and whether they're pulling in that extra data. Now, I'm not sure. In saying that, I haven't really researched the ChatGPT search that much to see if maybe that is more real time, and that might be at that point.
Right. I mean, I think ChatGPT became the word of AI and
Yeah.
search.
Yep.
And like you said, putting in words and rewriting, like I feel like everyone knows ChatGPT. So I feel like I lean that way just because that's what comes to mind.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's giving me all the right answers. It's just giving me options. And I think at the end of the day, it does give you more options. Like I think you want better options. Like we were so focused on Google. I mean, I don't even use Safari. I never really use Safari,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and unfortunately, who pays the most is who's at the top, right? And so, it is, it is kind of unfortunate the cycle that we've been in. And think, I think for businesses, it's also giving them different outlets. So I wonder how, I guess if I was a small business, I would be like putting in as much data as I can about my company and like feeding it all this information. I don't know. So
Yeah, it's going to be interesting in the world of AI how it analyzes the your businesses and sites and things like that. Because right now it's a very, you sign up when you have a new business. We've gone through this even with our podcast. You sign up, you register with Google, you register that you have a site. It does the analytics. It kind of it crawls the pages and it ranks you based on various structure. But now you have AI, which could kind of like, it could decide on its own,
right.
based on the algorithm, how to do that kind of stuff. So I think, one of the things that was mentioned by a lot of analysts is that this is the first time Google is could be in real trouble with getting kind of sent to the back instead of.
But I don't think, I mean, and we're just talking about, people in using AI. I don't think everyone's using AI. Like, I
Yeah.
think there's a demographic also. I think, I think companies are saying, don't use this platform for this platform, be reasonable, be smart. Like, I think all of those pieces are going into this AI information overload. Like, are my parents using AI? No. I see them struggling with certain things with an iPhone. Like, it's kind of like, and we talked about this, like the electric car, like they're not going to buy electric car because it's a learning curve. So I think also, like, I do think like which generations are going to be more impacted versus not, versus using versus not. Like, I think that's going to be a whole wave, and we're going to see ebbs and flows in that.
Well, I think you got to do two different things there. You got to break it down into what businesses are providing you naturally, because when you're a consumer, businesses might be using AI on the back end and you won't even, a lot of times you probably won't even know, because the AI is getting so good it can talk to you conversationally. And the other thing that I think you have to break down is the consumption model, because if Google provides AI in their search and you don't even realize that it's doing that in the background, then yeah, that's an easier way to get on there. Do I think that your parents are going to download ChatGPT and pay for $20 a month to get the search and all that other stuff? Probably not. But so I think there's different levels of that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is how does somebody get their AI experience right now? Like, what do they have to do?
Right. Like, how do you learn it? How do you understand it? How do you know how to implement, how do you operationalize it even in businesses? Like, I think that is, I mean, they talk about passive income all the time. I mean, I think that you could just advise companies, right? And small companies, not big. Like, how do you go about implementing an AI chatbot? Where do you start? Who do you pick? What's the cost? What's the benefit? Operationally, does it save me money? Like, I mean, I think that is a huge need. I do. I think there's a lot of tasks out there that people do that that you can, and it's hard because you're kind of playing with that outsourcing versus hiring versus having the person. Like, I think you have to kind of think, what can you automate? But that person has to learn a new job function. And that is always probably the most difficult conversation.
Well, so it's also not always that too. I mean, it's what do you want to do, and then figure out if there's an easier way to do that. The problem I always have with people in tech, and
Okay.
I include myself as one of them, is that we try and figure out how to use a tool when really it should be, what do you need to do back into a tool
1000%.
that really works for you and does something that you need. Now, AI a lot of times might be that tool, but AI is more of a framework, and really there's different tools that are going to come out of that.
Yeah. I mean, we would love to talk, but sometimes I don't know if the business always knows what is the driver behind, I don't know if they always know the driver. It's hard to pull it out. I would love people just to come to conversations and be like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. This is my problem. Go solve it for me.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Tell me your problem. We'll figure it out. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yep.
Like, there are people that can help you solve problems.
Yeah.
Blown away. And you can just have a matrix. Hey, it does this, 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 and this. It's not going to do this. I mean, it's just kind of like a comparison, but I think right. But I don't know if always everyone wants to share their problems.
I'm an oversharer.
Me too.
To be totally honest.
I'm like, well, this is my issue, and that's my issue. And one of the things I do use AI for, and when you think about consumer, is my security system. There's AI built in my house right now that will listen for other noises, and if my cameras heard different noises, it would call 911. That has got to be an AI driven use case. That's got to be something, there's definitely AI in the background doing whatever that is, because no one is listening to my house. But if they heard a different noise, or like, and I, you don't want to say like, or glass breaking or something.
Yep.
That is definitely AI. And I pay for a different service now. Is it ultimately going to hurt me? I don't know. I don't pay for a security, technically like a true security company.
Yeah.
I pay for it through Amazon. So that's interesting.
Yeah, no, I have the same thing. I mean, I have the Ring server. I have the Ring security in my apartment, and I actually have Astro Robot that goes around, and it actually walks my whole house at night. And if it hears something, then it'll alert me. And if it hears a break, if it hears anything, it'll tell me what it hears, and it'll actually know. And it's funny because I live in
a German Shepherd at this point.
I mean, I live in an apartment, so there's no alarm system in the apartment. So this is what actually I had it before, which was great, but now I actually have another use for it because it's actually my security guard at night.
That is amazing.
And it actually has like this long pole that has a camera, so it can go up and down and check things for you. It can check to see whether your gas is on. It can check to see whether you're whatever it needs to be. And you could set different points within the house. But yeah, I mean, one of the things they did say is that they're going to give Astro more AI.
Out in his house. I don't know what this thing is, but we gotta get some photos of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We should put it on the site. Absolutely. Yeah. But that's one of the things. I mean, it definitely does some kind of analysis of the sound, figures out what that sound is, and then provides that, understands what that's doing. So,
and I just saw a commercial for a security company like promoting this.
Yep.
That they're constantly listening through the cameras. They can add that level of security. I mean, obviously, I always thought that security companies would eventually, I think that model would always had to change in a way, because I was like, I don't know. I just,
so that's one of the like background things that we don't even think about, that it's using AI, but AI has changed our lives because it does that. It understands the noise. It understands the sound. Another thing that you do is, hey, we're talking through here, and there could be a lot of background noise. And a lot of times AI will filter out that background noise and figure out, hey, I understand the model that a dog barking isn't something you want in here, but I do understand
technology has been around. Like, I think people are like astonished by that. That is around. It's Apple has it, Cisco has it, Zoom has it.
Everybody has it.
Everyone has it. Like, it's there, guys. Like, Meta glasses have it. So like, that should be the norm. I mean,
it is the norm at this point, but it's something we take for granted. It's something that has that low barrier to using AI that you don't even realize you're using, but it does something beneficial to you. So you're not hearing the construction in the background and all the other stuff and all the other noise that's going on behind you. You're just hearing us talk.
So I got to ask Michael a question because he did just go through like this whole dating thing.
Oh my God.
how many AI chatbots did you come across on these dating apps? Because I mean, you're probably savvy, but let me tell you, I have friends that are not savvy and they got some wicked conversations. And I mean, you were able to fish it out, but like one out of 10 or 2 out of 10, what do you think the number was?
It's like 75%, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, definitely up there in the percentages. And it is it's something that you really have to be alert to. But the funny part is, and I was talking about this the other day to somebody, but
oh God.
You can realize that they're not talking like you and I would talk. So it's
Right.
either there's two things that happen here. There's either AI type bots, and I don't even know if they're AI. They could just be chat bots. But there's these different bots, or there's people from different countries. And you can tell because the English is not the same English as you and I. Grammar is not right. And it's just like, and the first questions they'll ask you is like, what do you want? What kind of relationship do you want? Okay, what's your job? What's your social security? No, they don't ask social security number, but they're trying to dig information from you. And it's something that you can totally tell they're doing. And then when you press them on it, you're like, oh, I can tell you're totally a bot. Oh, if you think that, then you shouldn't talk to me anymore. Okay.
Right. You're like, stop the conversation and see if they write back like a normal human being.
Yeah.
Look at them on LinkedIn. Like, do your homework. Okay?
Yeah, on Facebook, even on Facebook. I mean, it's pretty easy. This is the funny thing about, figuring out who people are. If you know what town they're in, and on Facebook, you could filter somebody's, even though you don't have their last name, you could filter their first name,
I've done that.
What town they live in. And
Totally.
you could usually find out who these people are because you realize those towns aren't that big. And, and it's pretty easy to figure out like who somebody is by their, and also you can Google by their age and by their name and the town and figure out like, okay, there's only 3 people that age, that town, and then put it on Facebook and try and figure out if you.
Right. And hello, disclaimer, video chat the person. Just say, hey, I'll video chat you.
Yep.
If they don't answer, I mean, just, start a quick chat. And I know that function or feature is there. I mean, that's not that hard to do.
Yeah, and by the way, always give out a Google phone number, not your real phone number, because what happens to is that, and we're getting away from the AI part, but what happens to is that once they have your phone number, then they could do attacks on your phone number and your personal information.
Well, let's check out security measures at another time because, I mean, we could go, like, obviously there's a lot of schools of thought and, but going back, to AI, I mean, listen, I think, and just kind of circling this a little bit, I think there's a lot of jobs and a lot of people that have to realize that, if you're sitting behind a desk doing manual labor or punching, I don't know every job. I think you have to realize there's a huge shift in the market coming and it's happening fast. That's, companies are buying, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud, they're buying equipment to run AI models. Like this is here, it's here. Don't be naive to what's happening in our market. It is a huge shift in our market. It's one of the biggest when the internet came out. It's the next big shift. Either figure out how to play in it or just be aware of it and start learning it or understanding it a little bit. I think, and even with our iPhones, like our iPhones and pictures and, designers, you can take a picture of your house and it could tell you what to put in your house. It could tell you how to do your makeup. It could tell you, the list goes on and on and on. So I think there's a couple of things you could figure out how to make passive income from it, or you can also, on the flip side of it, just figure out how, if you are in a job, maybe how to elevate yourself, like take a couple classes, like you could go, there's a million places to take classes. Just understand it. I think you got to understand it.
Well, I also think that as we get more into it, there's more easier lift ways of getting into it. Like now Apple has introduced Apple Intelligence.
I know, I saw that.
And Apple Intelligence
APIs are open. That's another thing. They opened up APIs for people to create models on it. Like they're open. They want you to do this. They're not saying don't develop, don't create. They're saying develop, create, and do something with it. So,
well, Apple's very good at ecosystems. So that's something that they want to do. But I mean, I think that the nice part about it is that, like, looking at photos, trying to find your photos, trying to find your emails, that now has a highlighted section in since Apple Intelligence. It's really, really smart in terms of like the way that you can search for stuff on your computer and figuring that stuff out. So one of the things that always, kind of annoyed me is that you always have to tag everything within a Mac. You always have to tag things, and in some ways it's still good to do that. But now you don't have to do that as much because of Apple Intelligence. It can search for things for you. It's more intelligent. I need an image file that looks like this and has a picture of a dog. Here's all the stuff that has that. So there's stuff that's lower lift, but really adds a lot of value to what you do in your day to day. I mean, how many times do you look for photos on your iPhone or on your computer? And what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, there's a mountain of use cases. I think, just kind of search around when you, instead of searching on social media, search what is happening with the big seven companies developing, right? And that's the NVIDIAs, the Googles, I think it's Microsoft, and
Yeah.
Just understand what's happening and maybe how you can play in it, because it is an exciting time for us. So, but I think we did tech out the whole AI conversation.
Absolutely.
And gave you guys gave our listeners just different ways to think about it, maybe different, problems to solve, or, I mean, there's a lot of use cases and a lot of things you could use in your home life with it. So,
yeah, I mean, to our listeners, what are you guys using AI for? I'd love to understand what you guys are using it for. And really, if there's some area of it that you want us to tech out on more, tell us.
Right. Or give us a problem. We'll solve it. We'll come to you with options. We're always here to help. So,
all right. Well, stay tuned for the next episode of TechNOUT, as we'll tech out something new.